And welcome back, everyone, to another episode of The Heart of the Cast. We're here with the brand new TCG ban list featuring myself and Josh. And we're here with special guest PAK.
Yo, what's up, guys? How's everyone doing? Hello.
Morning.
Morning,
this was a crazy one, actually. I think we were going to start with Master Duel, however, because there is also a big update that just happened yesterday, 2 days ago, as of recording. So we're going to talk about Master Duel and TCG.
It's a massive week, though. We have a lot to go through, so I think it's good that it's three of us because we're gonna have to do a lot of yapping today. It's a pretty big week, but also a pretty good week is how I personally perceived it. I liked the TCG ban list. I also really liked playing with the new Master Duel update simply because new ban list in effect too, so significantly less Snake Eye and Tenpai, which is a good thing in my opinion. But we should probably go one by one and discuss the different changes that happened. Of course, I just mentioned new ban list is in effect. That one we've already talked about previously, so no more Beatrice, one Kaiman, specific Block Boy came off the ban list. Anyone here did anything with that?
God.
A decent bit. I could talk so much about Block Dragon, but let's continue with the more important stuff first.
I mean, yeah, the Beatrice and Kaiman so far have done what I expected them to do, which was on ladder at least. I faced significantly less Tenpai and no Snake Eye actually yesterday on my couple hour stream. There was not a single Snake Eye when I made my way to Masters. Haven't hit Master 1 yet, so I don't know exactly how it's going to be once you hit the rating duels, but I don't know. How do you guys feel about Snake Eye's position in the format when there's I guess maybe to summarize for you, PAK, I don't know how actively you've been playing, but there's they have 2 Bonfire, 1 Wanted, 1 Ash, 1 Poplar, no Beatrice, and then 2 Engravers for Snake Eye, basically.
Oh yeah, maybe is there even a way to bridge Engraver and the Millennium cards to Snake Eye cards?
Well,
Probably not anymore.
According to Herman, it's still full Snake Eye combo because you just make Zombie Vampire and hit it with the Millennium cards.
Oh god.
I mean, Witch
I
and stuff, I guess.
Well, the argument is if you don't already open a Snake Eye card, it is kind of likely that you hit one of them with Zombie Vampire, right? You see the top 10 cards of your deck if you do that line, right? Because you deck thin a little bit and then you mill 4 more, and if one of them is a Snake Eye, then you're good to go. Or if it's Ash, Oak, Poplar, or Witch, which is 6 targets you can mill if you don't already open one of them. I still don't know if that's the kind of baseline I would build my deck on, personally. If I just just play the same deck as beforehand, like Millennium, Fiendsmith, Snake Eye, and just live with the fact that Fiendsmith does no longer bridge into the engine. But yeah, I mean, I haven't played against a single one since the ban list came in effect, and I surely didn't play it myself yet. But yeah, I don't know. I can imagine the deck still being fine, but I don't know if it feels like that top tier to me.
Yeah, I'm getting to the motions of playing Master Duel again. And honestly, that is good news to hear. I Snake Eyes, obviously I enjoyed playing the deck in TCG, but I played a little bit of the last DC Cup, the one that Herman won. And it is absolutely disgusting what that Snake Eye deck was doing, the Millennium deck. I was literally face palming. I played one match, I'm yeah, I'm out. So it's good to hear that the deck got kind of nerfed in a way where I don't think I'm trying to play multiple rounds where I'm putting it on Vampire or Bust. So
I think it just forces people to play the Azamina cards. I think that's more what it is, because the deck was that busted before this ban list that people even didn't play the Azamina cards, which to me is crazy to begin with. That's such a high quality engine. It's a starter and it puts up an Omnigate, and they're just I don't need it, dude. My deck's good enough without it. And I just feel that's where you're gonna play those additional starters to make up for the consistency. And that is pretty much still a very strong deck. I think that is also pretty much at the power level that the deck was still good in the TCG. When we got Azamina, we got that initial ban list that went Ash to 1, Poplar to 1, and then Snake Eye fell off a little bit. And then the Azamina cards released and it came back, even though it did have 2 extra copies of Wanted, basically. So it's like that version from the TCG, but 2 more Wanted, 2 less Wanted, 1 less Bonfire, which is significant, I feel like.
Well, I feel like hand traps should be like effective now because I feel like before, like that Millennium Snake Eye deck, I'm pretty sure like
You had to
if they
trade
open
one for one to
Centurion-
everything. Yeah.
yeah, if they open Centurion, yeah, see you later. Like I just don't even know how you hand trap them. Like
No,
maybe
In terms of
it was
the,
Suva or Maxi or bust, basically. Or sometimes
yeah,
sometimes Droll, but the deck actually played very well under Droll, surprisingly.
yeah,
So it's definitely easier to hand trap it, especially because like being forced, or well, I assume they will be playing the Azamina cards now, is something that makes you a lot weaker into some like Retaliating Sea as well, which was a very popular card.
true.
And like when those cards
True,
came
true.
out, a lot of Retaliating Seas were being played, and so people switched over to Millennium, and then Retaliating Sea was just ass. So yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of the metagame for Master Duel, there obviously isn't a lot to go off of right now because it's day one, but there was a day one Challenger Cup hosted by Lampy with the new season, I suppose, of the Challenger Cup and, of course, the new format. I think it was over 100 players, I want to say, and it could just be like a player versus deck thing, but all the Tier 2 boys, 4 out of 4 top cut spots. First place was Branded, every format somehow it still survives, and 3 out of the 4 top 4 decks were Blue Eyes. With the new Primite cards, so
it's worth mentioning. It's worth mentioning for this that the Challenger Cup system has changed, and they now actually have to submit deck lists. So it's no longer a matter of they've been switching back and forth between like, and they played like Blue Eyes in the finals, and the rest of the tournament they were all queuing Tenpai. No, like if they, it's now you have to submit 2 decks, and you have to play those 2 decks all the way through. So
you can choose which one you play, right? So like you basically just make a go first, a go second deck is how it works, right?
I think it's just like they I think it's always best of 3 now. So you
it's best of 3, but your 2 decks that you submit, you're basically just making a go first and a go second deck, right?
Oh, is it like that? Is that
well, I assume that's what you would do, right? Like,
yeah.
Would that not make more sense? Because you're gonna play best of 3 in Master Duel now, so you basically just and you have 2 deck lists, right? Like you're not gonna make 2 going first lists, I assume. So one for.
I think you have to win with both decks, right?
Do you?
I think it's like. I think it's like a. I think it's.
Oh, so you play a deck and it gets banned? Oh, right.
It's like Conquest. Like you win game 1 with your deck, you have to play the other deck and win with that one. I'm pretty sure. That might be incorrect. I haven't hosted a Challenger Cup myself yet. My first one's like next week. So I haven't looked into the specifics of it, but I would assume that's how it works. Maybe you can play the same deck all the way through if you wanted to. I'm not sure.
Well, in terms of the metagame, like I said, they were 3 out of 4 Blue Eyes lists, and obviously that's significantly boosted by the fact that Primite is now in the game. So you have like card for card full TCG Blue Eyes in Master Duel, which is quite soon. I think that's like a month, 2 months after the release of the structure deck in TCG. So kind of lining up nicely with each other. And yeah, it's a very good best of 1 deck in my opinion. I don't know how you guys feel about Blue Eyes. PAK, I don't know if you've seen Triff's tweets about Blue Eyes. He hates that deck.
I did. I have seen it. No, that deck is like a crazy, insane mid range deck. Like, I don't want Blue Eyes to go first. No, I think the deck is good. I don't like I don't have any like I don't care about the deck enough in the sense of like I'm not like a Kaiba fan or anything. But I do think
that's a crazy thing to say in a competitive.
No, like, I prefer Yugi to be honest. But yeah, like the deck I think is genuinely broken. Like a lot of people downplay how good that deck is because a lot of people really like explosive decks. But if you're trying to play a deck like low to the ground that does enough to just win, like Blue Eyes is that deck. But a lot of people like find that playstyle boring or whatever. So I feel like that's why there's a lot of like hate for the Blue Eyes deck, but in general, I think it is a very good deck. Even like post ban list, like in TCG, like that deck is solid. I think so.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about TCG later, but losing like 2 shifter in the metagame is like one of the few cards that like really shut down Blue Eyes, because Blue Eyes is I think really resilient, right? Because if you just summon like Beryl, like you feel like you have to stop it, right? Because you just get Drill Beam, right? And that's like a really sick card. Yeah. And so they hit Beryl. Go on.
No. I was about to say yes, like stopping Beryl is like the move, but then like one of the things that I liked was like playing multiple Drill Beams. So now it's like, you stop Beryl, you're like, hopefully they don't hard draw the Drill Beam now. But yeah, I totally agree. Yeah.
Have you played around with Blue Eyes and Master Duel yet, Josh? It's not really that different. It's just TCG Blue Eyes, but I mean,
I mean, I did play with it, and I did feel pretty much the same way. It's a very fun and very strong mid-range deck. The only thing that bothered me a little bit is the breaks sometimes. Like, there's still hands where you draw the True Light, the Blue Eyes White Dragon, the whatever else you don't want to draw. Sometimes you don't have Drill Beam without a Primate card, the Mausoleum. Yeah, and it's just like, it's a very strong mid-range deck, but I feel like on average it does play with 4 cards in hand when you go first, and that's sometimes a little annoying.
Whoa, not an average. Chill, dude. Chill.
You draw one of those on average. It's like 5 or 6 of them. The average for those
it's like, it was like Snake Eyes. You don't literally play with 4-card hand most of the time.
With that, I mean, it does make up for it a decent amount when you draw the wishes or get access to the wishes, because it discards one of those cards anyway. So like Blue Eyes White Dragon in particular is, I think, the one that's the least annoying, because if you draw that, at least it makes sure you have like something to reveal for Drill Beam, or you can just pitch it, and it being in the graveyard is good for you anyways. But like specifically the Mausoleum or the True Light are annoying. Other than that, I thought it was pretty solid, and specifically in Best of 1, it's like a very balanced deck. You know, it's not particularly focused on having to go first. It has pretty solid room for non-engine, so it does fine going second. It also has, even in general, like the engine is not terrible into boards going second. Like, it's not, of course, if your opponent full combos with Memento and you just have Blue Eyes engine, you're not going to break it. But it's like, you know, if there's a half board,
you play a lot of hand traps, right?
That's exactly. Yeah, if you can force them to make a half board, you can play well into it. So it's pretty well positioned right now, I feel like, and that makes it pretty solid. Yeah.
Yep. Has Purge going second to like stop back C, has that like come up for any of you guys? I always thought that was like the coolest part about Purge.
Does that work?
In Master Duel?
Yeah, you can purge Maxi if they have a card. Yeah, I've done that yesterday.
Really
if they have a card. Yeah, like at least when you're going second. So I was like, damn, like Purge is so busted in like OCG, or Master Duel. So,
yeah,
but
it should happen less often now that Maxi's at 2. But it still happened to me once yesterday where I went second and they made a board and Maxi'd behind it and I just purged it.
Yeah,
at first I was mad because I drew Purge off the top and I was like, damn, a hand trap for turn, huh? That's how it is. And then they maxied me and draw face. I was like, actually, you know what? Take that back.
Does Purge still pop if you use it from hand but have a trap engraved? Like if you imperm resolve and then Purge, it still pops?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy strong.
Yeah, it's like the labyrinth interaction where like you impulse something and then you chain a furniture to pitch a trap, like rollback or something, and then like the impulse just becomes basically a solemn strike.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
pretty strong.
So yeah, that's Blue Eyes. In terms of new meta decks, I think it could be a viable choice. We can talk a little bit about Memento. I did a full session yesterday with Vlad, who's got a couple of tops, I think, in TCG with Memento.
Yeah, he played it when Beatrice was out. I remember, like he played like Fiendsmith.
Yeah, he topped Euros.
And Beatrice. Yeah, he topped Euros. Yeah.
So I can relay the information that his view is that Memento is very okay. Like it's not bad against anything, but it's not like incredible against anything. It's just like a decent deck. It's relatively powerful. It's good at breaking boards. It's good at going first. But another big thing, of course, gotta mention it as well, is Maxi. Memento plays really well into Fua, actually, but Maxi not so much. So it's really like a stake in the heart for that card. It really is rough, but it's really powerful. We played some games yesterday. It's definitely fun as well, and it's very difficult. It's surprisingly not straightforward, which is cool, I guess. It's a nice little fishbowl deck. But I don't know if you guys have strong opinions about Memento, because I think you played it at the recent YCS, right, PAK?
Yeah, I played at YCS Houston. I played like Feast for the Memento. No, that deck is so broken, but I do agree. Like the reason why I played it was because like it was good into all the Charmies. Like even Pirellia and Meows, you just have to learn the Meows and the Pirellia line. It's like kind of cringe, but it's like
it's kind of cringe
because like this deck is super complicated for no reason. But like imagine trying to avoid summoning from graveyard under Meows to give your opponent less draws, but it is possible. So that's cool. Yeah, but the deck is super sick. I thought the deck was like a really cool pick for the YCs. Obviously, ended up winning with the Goblin Biker version. But I like Memento because it was like get into the Charmies. Obviously, Maxi is going to be tough, but I mean, we got more outs than they do Maxi, so hopefully it's fine, right? Like, but yeah, no, I really like that deck. I think I feel like the pure version from my initial thoughts is that it's probably better than Fiendsmith in
Even with
what do you call it, in
Lacrima?
Master
Does
Duel.
that matter actually? 'Cause
What's
remember
up?
there's
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter. A lot of people play like one engraver anyways.
okay.
So it was always fine. And then some of the, like there are combos I found where you actually don't even need engraver. You could play like Griffin, for example. Nightmare Griffin, which is banned in TCG, but
Fun.
you can play Nightmare Griffin and then make sequence with the Griffin to resolve it to make sequence to make a Berthamet, and then you can like use that to make SP, and then banish your Griffin in the graveyard, and then you can like end with a way to Griffin on your opponent's turn as well. Or you can play Moon. But that's pretty cool because you can also like turn any two monsters into an additional normal summon because you guys got Duke and Demise now.
Yeah.
Without playing, even without yeah, if with I think with Necro Equip also being out in the latest pack is pretty nice. So if you play one engraver, any two bodies becomes basically like a brilliant fusion. To normal summon again, which is pretty strong in the Memento, at least in the pure version, because you have a lot of like strong normals. So,
Bro,
like,
you
if
are
play, like,
cooking. Holy.
yeah, if you play like 3 Blade, 3 Witch, it's actually pretty strong because yeah, if you get stopped on because a lot of people don't stop the Witch, they stop the Horse, so you can punish that pretty easily because then you can make Moon, Requiem, Engraver, Necro Equip, summon it back, make sequence, Duke of Demise, which can shuffle back the Necro Equip, which is pretty nice too. Yeah.
It's funny you say it's
Nice.
difficult for no reason because I feel like that's how combo decks should be. That's what I feel like.
Yeah.
Memento is like if someone knows how to pilot it well, the deck is really scary and really powerful when it goes first. And for some reason, when it's Memento, I feel less bothered by it because there's a lot more skill to it than I don't know, like decks like Snake Eye or Yubel. I feel like even though of course there were some lines you had to learn, those decks felt more forgiving and more like they had way more backup plans and way more like, oh, you had that hand trap, well, I'm gonna have that and that and that extender, and it doesn't matter. And with Memento, it feels like it's kind of like you put in a lot of work and then you get the reward for it. And if you know how to play against it and where to interrupt, you also improve your chances significantly, which with Yubel and Snake Eye was trivial. Like with Snake Eye and Yubel, for the most part, like the rule was like you see a card, you hit it. And so with Memento, it's a little different. And it's so complicated because the lines change so much based on what you draw. I feel like that was my biggest issue when I tried learning it for YCS Bologna. It was like, okay, there's like one or two standard combo lines that are rather straightforward. You're just like, okay, well, I have the Witch, I do this, then that, and then that. But then what happens if you draw the Gaddick or if you draw the Goblin or whatever? And it's like you draw those one-ofs and like, how does this change now? And like sometimes they change like significantly. And you have like the sheep in your hand, and that changes how you can play it through hand traps because now you want to sequence it differently to be better off into this or that hand trap, and it's like so interesting to me, and so difficult. Which I feel like that should be a given for combo decks. I feel like if you're trying to make taps on the board, that's how it should be. That's why I like Memento way more than I like those other combo decks, even though it is still a combo deck.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Yeah, it's like if you mess up with a Memento deck, you probably end up losing. Whereas other decks are just way more forgiving. Like, putting up Phantom of Yubel is like, people don't really have to think too much about shuffling back 2 dudes and then vibing.
What's like good places to hit Memento when you play against it? Because I feel like normal summon Witch or Blade, like you're just gonna get punished by Bone Party or Fusion most of the time, right? So is there like a specific point of the deck that you'd recommend waiting for, or?
It's tough. I think like I actually am on the same premise of like I think you gotta like hit the first thing you see and just put it on God and bricked or like something. Or like they draw too many normal summons because that's like one of the issues of the deck. You draw too many normals because like if the deck doesn't draw like the 9 quick plays plus like the horse, it's very hard to extend from like getting stopped on the normal. Obviously, there are 12 cards that like play through that, but I know it's tough. Like, don't get me wrong. Also, the imperm on summon thing is like super fake. I know a lot of people like, for anyone mental plays, I'm sorry. I basically just leaked your goo. Like the imperm on summon, like imperm horse on summon, imperm dark blade on summon, that all that is like super fake because if they play like the Fiendsmith cards, there's a specific sequence where like they go to like Moon Requiem or like Moon into sequence through like Requiem with the engraver stuff, and they can actually they can make cross sheep and bring it back and then use the effect after. So like usually like
cross sheep only revives 4 or lower, right?
yeah, but you can bring back the blade. You can bring back the blade, and then the horse. You can actually get to it later off of like a bone party or like some other sequence. Like for example, like if you get to like the twin dragon, you'll reborn the horse, and then you'll use horse effect. Like so, it doesn't actually do anything, but I guess it. I don't know. Like I guess it feels cool. I don't even know how that came to be a thing, but I've always used it.
What is it supposed to play around?
Yeah, I don't know because like it doesn't even play around the quick play. Like if you imperm horse on effect and they chain the Goblin Biker Grand Breakout, it doesn't do anything. They summon a goblin, which is a level 1 monster.
Then they have to,
and then the horse resolve. Yeah, and then send another level 1, right? So it's like it doesn't do anything.
It's good for you if they do that. Like it's not even a good. It's not a. I think if you imperm the horse and they have the Goblin Biker spell, I think they let you resolve it and then they tribute it after.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. That's why like the imperm on something doesn't make sense. And then even if they have like bone party per se, it's like also doesn't make sense because usually they just let the horse get imperm and then they'll bone party on resolution. Because it's just better because I'm not really trying to pop my Anguich and send a 2 and a 1. So
is bone party limited to the level in some way, shape, or form? In terms
of
what it summons?
So you could summon. Yes, a lot of people don't play him, but you could summon Horn Dragon, which is a level 8 guy. And then you could send like hella cards. But yeah, a lot of people don't play him, so I'm under the premise people don't play him. But yeah, obviously it changes on your hand, but yeah. I think my favorite card on Memento deck is Sleepy. That card is like, Acheron's like a brick, but that card is obviously like really broken. But the Sleepy, I think like there's a world you even play multiples of that card. That card is like insane to me.
I was about to ask that because it doesn't seem like a bad card to draw.
Well, it's a bad card. No. It's not a bad card under the premise that you can play somewhat. Because as soon as something has been destroyed, it's a crazy good extender. But if you can't even get to that point, like it doesn't help you play through Imperm Veiler or any of that stuff because at that point nothing has been destroyed. So that's where it's like a little iffy. And the deck is already kind of full of those kind of cards that are like situationally good. Like, sometimes if you don't have another normal summon, Goblin is a completely fine way to start. But like you don't want to overdo it on those kind of cards because you're going to end up having too many.
The breakout gets the Goblin anyways.
Yeah.
Goblin's actually the best starter in my opinion. Because it's able to send like spells and like the spells as well. Where like and it plays around like Bestials really well because you can like send Gaddock, send Fusion, and then they can't Bestial the Gaddock because you have no monsters. But the only reason it's at 2 and not at 3 is literally just because Grand Breakout gets you access to Goblin, or else I think you would play 3 Goblin because I think it is. I think it's the starter that plays around the most in my opinion because Witch loses to Bestials and then Blade loses to like Fua. So there's like other stuff the other cards lose to, but Goblin's like one of the best starters into like a lot of like interactions in general, just because like it's so versatile. Like for example, you can send Akihiron, you can send Combined Creation, like so it's just so good.
Is there anything else to mention about Master Duel's metagame?
There's a lot more that's actually coming in this pack, I think. Like I mean, it's been a long time coming, but there's like Centurion support finally in the game now. Like a year late or whatever at this point, but finally we do have it.
Yeah, it should be noted that the Centurion card and the Memento, Sleepy and Acheron, I think were like months later.
Yeah, it's like expected months ago. I don't know what the reason for that is. Maybe they saved it for this kind of moment where they knew like, because what else are they going to drop in this particular pack? Either you give us the rest of Fiendsmith or Ryziel and Malice. So maybe they were saving something quote unquote less impactful for this pack because they wanted to give us something, but they didn't want to give us that. So they were saving up some stuff. Is the only thing I can imagine. But I played around with Centurion yesterday, and it was basically as expected. It was okay. It's like a deck that you don't care. You don't care about Maxi. You don't care about Fuva that much. But it was nice. But it's like you still, it's kind of similar to Blue Eyes in that sense, where you for no reason you're playing a mid-range deck and you still play with the 4-card hands because you draw Atri, Gargoyle, Wake Up, whatever, you name it, all the random one-of engine requirements that don't actually play themselves. So and then it's like it's kind of like Blue Eyes but less broken, but a little bit better into Maxi and Fuva, I feel like, at Nib. So it's all right, but it's nothing crazy. Just how it was in the TCG for a very long time now.
Yeah. Just another mid-range deck. I wonder if like Centurion is better just because it has less bricks, right? Like that's the only argument for it, I guess. And then there's
But
like
even then, it's
Purge.
not that much less, right? Because it's like the standard quote unquote version still has Gargoyle, Archery.
Yeah, true.
The trap is not always an active card in your hand. You still have the spell, the quick play spells like the Wake Up and
It's
the
less
other
starters
one.
too.
Yeah.
That was the other issue with Centurion. It's like, what is it? Is it like 13 one card? Oh well, no, there's no terraforming, right? So it's like 12.
You
And then I think in
have
Private
you
Device
have
is like
you
16.
have you can play bonfires if you really wanted to, so you could go all the way up to 14. I
Oh,
think
okay.
you'd have like 3 Field
Yeah.
Spell, 3 Trudea, 3 Primera, 3 Emblema, and 2 bonfires if you want to. So
I hate
it's like
bonfire.
fine. Yeah, you bonfire and
it's
your
just-
opponent's like in shambles, and then you add Trudea, and they're like, oh, fine.
Yeah, yeah. And like some people, like I heard about like there's like Agamdal candle or Animal candle, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bonfire target. Yeah.
The only other thing that I was playing yesterday was I played with Necroquip out. That was a big deal for me personally because it finally meant you could play something that resembles like Fiendsmith Control because now Tracked and Lurie are actual plays. So I was building, I was messing around with a Fiendsmith Primite control deck yesterday, which was really fun, where it's like your normal summon, like you're trying to play Drill Beam, Fiendsmith Control, you play a lot of hand traps, you play Dominus Purge, your vanillas are White Dust On and Summon Skull because it's level 6 Fiend. It was pretty fun actually, and I did have a pretty decent record with it. It was like fun mid-range, decent amount of
What's your Fiendsmith lineup? Does it play like 3 tracked or something?
I started with 3 tracked, but then I didn't love always drawing actually too much engine because Primite can make Fiendsmith combo happen because of Primite Roar. So you go like you go Primite Roar for White Dust On, and that's like full Fiendsmith combo, and it gives a disruption in the graveyard because Primite Roar can banish their normal summon.
Yeah,
not bad.
Which is like alongside the Fiendsmith disruption and maybe a Drill Beam and some hand traps. It was good enough. So that was fun for me particular because like I've been a big fan of like different Fiendsmith control hybrids, and that was now I feel like finally possible with the Necroquip. Even though it's still not at max potential without Lacrima and like the main deck Lacrima and Agnum Day, it was a important step for me to not just be able to do Fiendsmith in like combo decks.
I think it's important.
Yeah, I like that.
I think it's important that you get as much mileage out of the deck that is your namesake, because I feel like that's the biggest reason you play that.
That is so crazy it works out that way.
I'm a Fiendsmith duelist.
Yeah, everyone like spams it. I was like, yo, should I play like Fiends with Memento or like regular Memento? They're like, Fiend Schmidt. I'm like,
it's amazing how like the YUGIOH just like makes it subconscious. I don't even think about it anymore. It's like, yeah, it's Fiend Schmidt. Like that's the name of the engine. But anyway, Master Duel is looking like it could be for a big overhaul and a big shakeup of the metagame. We'll see if Memento ends up being like a real like top tier contending deck. Same with Blue Eyes. Potentially Centurion and Fiendsmith Control. Like I think like there's a genuine world where the metagame like shakes up a lot, which is good because we need that. Especially just before Ryziel and Malice come out. Whatever that is going to be, probably the next major pack. So what would that be?
I don't think they're going to release them together. I feel like it would be a very Master Duel thing to do to split them up. I feel like that like I don't know if they want to do like 2 bangers like that in the same set. I feel like they would definitely be the ones to split them up to have like a reason to sell multiple packs. But yeah, just in general, it felt like a pretty decent shakeup yesterday. A lot of people were playing new decks. Maybe it's new toy syndrome on like ladder, but it's been a of course much better time for me than before, which I've said earlier. But I think it's still, and I think that's the good segue to start into TCG. I think even though Master Duel is not where the TCG is at yet, I think it is definitely recovering from Snake Eye Tenpai Yubel 2024 slop. And TCG has taken some pretty significant steps, I feel like, in this week. So why don't we talk about that a little bit?
Bro.
Yeah, there's
like someone cooked. Like bless your soul. Like thank you.
So
like that was insane.
Clam list is here. We could probably just go like deck by deck, I think is maybe the most important thing. So just all of the unlimits to remind you guys: Cyberjar, Jackalope, Tsuchinoko, Ava, Monkey Board, nothing at all really worth talking about here. Ava's nice maybe for Drytron. I didn't even know if they play Ava anymore because of the new support, but who knows? So yeah, cool, awesome. That's just whatever. We can probably just go deck by deck, and then we'll mention these staples here.
Yeah.
So the biggest ones, I think, for sure, is Ryziel. Got multiple hits here. So we saw the reactions of you guys, and as the numbers started coming in, Jerome announcing the list at the event, by the way, which is really cool. I like that this is now a thing going forward.
Yeah.
The first thing he did, okay, semi-limited list, X Ryziel, and my face just sank because my first thought was like, wow, they didn't even have the balls to limit it. But then they semi-limited all of the names. So X is at 2, Ice is at 2, Sword is at 2, and Detonator is limited to 1. I think those are the main direct Ryziel hits, I believe.
Yeah,
Bonfire to 1.
Bonfire to 1 is also pretty direct. And Bonfire. No, the Detonator hit the hardest because after all the semi-limits, I was not expecting to hear a further Ryziel name.
Yeah, because you were just like thinking to yourself, oh, okay, so bunch of consistency hits, sure. But now Detonator is gone, right? Like that's grind game, longevity, like it's a lot, Cash to your Unicorn is now a nuke against Ryziel. So yeah, PAK, why don't you tell us your thoughts on the Ryziel hits?
Bonfire to 1, I think, was the best Ryziel hit, and only because there's less bridge to like Ryziel Fiendsmith was disgusting. Like that deck, like that's an abomination. Like I can't. Like that deck was basically like Snake Eye Fiendsmith. I hated that deck so much. And if you hit like Bonfire, there's like just less ways to get to like Moon without committing like the special summons from hand, which locks you. So I thought that like when they had Bonfire to 1, I was like, oh my god, thank you. Because Fiendsmith obviously didn't get touched on the list at all. And I was like, man, like, if Ryziel gets like these consistency hits, but Bonfire is in touch, and Ice is at like basically like, let's say like 5 copies or something, because like Bonfire was at 3, it would be so annoying. But I'm glad that like Bonfire got hit, and then all the names to 2 is like fine. I think it's whatever. The only important thing to note about that is like they can't just slam Desires anymore. I feel like that's a little bit riskier. Some people might take the risk. Like I don't know, maybe Centoli's like, who cares?
Centoli won't care.
Yeah, he's like, Desires never banish anything that matters ever, and I was like, that's just not true. But yeah, I think it was great. No, I'm glad with the Ryziel hits. I really like it. It feels a lot better now. Like I've been playing a little bit on the Forbidden platform, and yeah, I've been I just Impermex. I'm just like, yeah, Impermex, like run it.
Okay,
and there's like set pass.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. So I was at locals. What day is today? Friday, 2 days ago. So Wednesday. We played with the new list. I almost won the entire event with Blue Eyes. By the way, it's so sad. My last round was against. You're not gonna believe this. Ryziel, Fiendsmith, Mathmech. They could just play like circular now, because we'll talk about that in a second.
Oh my god.
But it's really funny because game 1 he goes Bonfire, and I'm like, that's not 1, right? And he's like, why do you ask? And I just go Ash, and he's like, damn, pass. It was crazy. So yeah, that's I guess like a hole you can plug into this, maybe like Mathmech cards. I don't know, like is that a thing? Because
that's a whole other topic. I hate circle. Yo, I'm actually with Josh on this. I don't even know how that card. Why did they put that to 1, man? Like,
you
were playing all these like stupid
that's 2 separate discussions. But
it is like that's a whole other.
So from what I've heard in regards to Ryziel, when they use circular, it's just meant to be like, apparently you can like 7th Tachyon for it, and it's like a level 4 extender that can potentially search you whatever, or you can search it with Alimbertion in your regular Ryziel combo if you want to. I don't know exactly what I genuinely don't really understand the point of it, because like you can't go for Sigma, right? Because Sigma will lock you into Cybers.
Yeah, so the combo, he went Alimbertion into circular, and then he went Nabla.
So circular sent Nabla.
And then Alimbertion tribute bring back Nabla, and then it triggers circular.
And then
for Super Factorial.
Yeah, but then you only have 2 names, right? It's only circular and Nabla that you can exceed with. Or does Alimbertion summon 1 from deck?
Summons from grave, right?
No, it's summons from grave.
And then Nabla summons from.
Oh, Nabla is like the Lone Fire Blossom.
It's Lone Fire Blossom.
Oh, okay. So you go like Alimbertion, bring back the Nabla, and then Nabla bring out whatever 3rd name from the deck, and then you have 3 names for Super Factorial.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay,
Exactly.
so it's, I mean, okay,
Yeah.
well, whatever, dude. That's 4 bricks.
But it's hella bricks.
I mean, I guess, yeah.
No, they just don't care. Like, I'm being serious.
They just don't
People are
care.
just-
They just don't care.
Like, they're just slamming that. Like every like
That's
deck I've
crazy
been playing.
behavior.
No, it's actually crazy. Like the Ryziel variants I've seen on ladder has been all like Ryziel Mathmech, and I was like, and they're setting up like the super fat. And I was like, what? And they're making like multiple exceeds and stuff. I was like, bro, what is this deck? But you can still lose to it. Like that's the
I
thing
mean,
about
yeah,
circle.
no,
like,
if they play against me, they won't draw any bricks. They'll just set up the full thing.
They'll just draw the Mathmech. The circle.
yeah, just draw full circle. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, but in general, in regards to Ryziel, I personally, in the beginning, like all of them to 2, you know, I'm like a little bit opposed to consistency hits, so this was not even something I was personally considering. I thought maybe hitting X to 1 would have been like nice, because that would have been a potential like issue with like follow up and stuff, and it is the most broken starter. But all of them to 2, initially I was like, why does it matter that much? But then I think when you pair it with Bonfire, what it does is, I think for pure Ryziel, it's not really, I don't really consider it a consistency hit, because consistency wise in pure Ryziel you can make up for it by just playing more 7th Ascension and 7th Tachyon, which is obviously something they want to promote with the newest set. You know, it's good for them if people play more 7th Tachyon. But just in general, that also means, like PAK said, you can't play Fiendsmith Ryziel in that, because if you want the Ryziel engine to be consistent, you have to lock yourself into XYZs. And it also significantly lowers like the quality of your starters, right? Because like drawing 7th Ascension or 7th Tachyon is not the same quality of a card as just hard drawing X or hard drawing Ice or even Bonfire, right? Because like they play differently into Disruption. They go -1 because you have to put a card back. They also pair very poorly together. Like if you draw 7th Ascension and 7th Tachyon, it's not the same as drawing Ice X. It's like, you know, one hand trap and you're done, because you have 1 play in your hand. And then like also worse into Droll and Lockbird and all that. So not only does it mean Ryziel cannot be played as like any hybrid you want, but it also means like the deck is not less consistent, but it is less powerful, because those cards are weaker than their like the cards that they just add, right? So I think it's less of a consistency hit than you would think, because there's cards to make up for it, and that's good. Because if it was just a consistency hit, I wouldn't have been a big fan of it. But the way it turns out in this deck, I think it was just a very good solution for it that I personally didn't even think of. Like, I personally did not like predict or consider like putting all the names to 2. It's not something, because I'm just like inherently so against consistency hits. It wasn't even something that I thought about. But the more I think about it now, the more I think it makes sense.
Yeah, no, I wanted Bonfire to 1. I thought that card was super unfair. Like, because there's no downside. You just like you add Ice, you play around Droll, and then you also don't have to put a card back. So, and there's no restriction on that card, right? For just 7th, locking you to XCs. So yeah, no, for sure.
I feel like Bonfire honestly should have happened during Snake Eye format. It would have fixed a lot of, not a lot, but it would have been a nice addition then. To be honest,
it's Rhoda, like,
better late than never, I guess. So yeah, Ryziel, I guess, pairs up nicely with the release of Malice as the twin decks of sorts, and Malice got a lot less hits, and scarily enough, it's got off way easier than Ryziel. And on top of that, Alliance Insight has the Ignister support, which everyone is terrified for the Cyber Slop that's about to coexist with the Malice deck. So I don't know, I feel like they've kind of slapped Malice on the wrist, and it's getting even stronger. I
don't know. I think I disagree that they've got the harder hits right now. Like, I think Malice right now, before Alliance Insight, is the deck that is a little bit hit harder by this ban list, because like I said, pure Ryziel can make up. Yeah, I think pure Ryziel makes up for these hits easier. For Malice, it's basically impossible to replace the consistency of Dormouse, White Rabbit, and Malice in Underground. Like, that is straight up -3 starters. I guess you can play Signet Mining, but that's like so much weaker than previously. Like, that makes a deck that was basically immune to Ash Blossom now terrible into Ash Blossom. And it's just not the same. Like, it's also like weaker into Droll and Lockbird if you play that, which you previously didn't care about. And then I think that's not even the only thing. Like, the Link Decoder and the Griffin means that you play worse into hand traps, because Link Decoder was one of the main ways how like you extended past hand traps. It was like super easy because you had that card. Like, that's why sometimes it felt like you throw one hand trap they have an extender, and the hand trap didn't matter. Because it's like, oh, link 1 into decoder, summon Bestial, bring back the body, make link 3, decoder comes back. There you go. That's like full combo no matter what. That's no longer possible. And with the Griffin, there's also an endport piece that's going missing. And with the Shifter, you also lose that card for specific matchups if you decided to play it. So overall, I think before Alliance Insight, Malice is hit significantly by this ban list. But I think Malice is also the deck that recovers way easier because of Alliance Insight. So that's why I think it's like a good decision to do it that way around. Is like Ryziel only gets Star Ryziel in Alliance Insight, which is not a consistency boost. It just like boosts the power level of the endboard a little bit, which is good. But for Malice, it's just like with Alliance Insight, the deck's gonna be completely fine, or like maybe even too powerful. I don't know.
I was joking. That's no cap. 2-0 Malice. I'm not even trolling. It's literally tier element, except you're playing with the banish. There's no difference. Like, I think that engine is so crazy. Like, the new support, I couldn't believe. Like, I don't know who in R&D approved this. Like, it is so crazy. It is so crazy to me. Like, you have, like, I think, depending on what stars you play, you have so many combos under Lancia. I don't even think Lancia is a real card anymore. Like, so I don't even know how that is, like, a thing. Because that was, like, the one card where I'm like, no, I draw Lancia against Battle. I'm feeling pretty good. Then it's like, bro, like, all these Ignister combos is, like, crazy under Lancia. Like, you're making like full boards, and I was like, damn. But I guess like Lancia pair is always gonna be good, so like that's probably fine. Like Lancia Nib probably cooks them, but yeah, I'm excited. That set is gonna be crazy. And then obviously like,
well, I'm not excited.
You're describing it. It's funny you say that because the none of the things you said just made me excited.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, no. Don't get me wrong. I think it's gonna be disgusting because it's gonna be like I think next format like kind of deviate a little bit from balance. It's gonna be a heavy combo format, which obviously like I'm not looking forward to because you know when there's like insane combo decks, like I'm not really trying to deal with that because you know the dice roll becomes more important, like all this stuff. But I guess it's cool that like decks are getting support. But yeah, I agree. Shifter to 1 also makes it all these rogue combo decks are like super broken still. So.
Yeah,
which probably shouldn't happen. But
exciting. Yeah. So in terms of other limits, I suppose we could talk about the Shifter. You mentioned that. I don't think there's really a lot to say about this. Like ban is nice, but 1 is still a better number than 3. So everyone liked that. I don't know if anyone was upset that Shifter went to 1.
I'm sure
I don't like the argument. I'm sure someone out there was. I really don't like the idea of this whole, necessary evil that people like to justify with things like this. I just like, some floodgates are tolerable. A hand trap lingering macro, I just.
Or 2 turns.
Yeah, that card's unfair. It's like 3 more copies like Fua type cards that exist for just that for decks that could play it. It's that card is super unfair. Yeah.
Crossout Designator is a big one. I'm really happy about this. I could talk a lot about this, man, but I think like in principle, I think hand traps should matter, and hand traps should not ideally be punished. At least like the common ones, right? Like we're talking about the low impact kind of trade hand traps, like your ashes, your imperms, and stuff like that. People always like use the argument that my rogue deck needs to beat hand traps and stuff, but like the problem is like, well, now you're also playing this in meta decks, right? Like if you go first and side this in a meta deck going first, like you need to not just draw, because meta decks play through hand traps. Very regularly play through 1 hand trap. Sometimes they play through 2 hand traps. Now you're giving them a crossout in their hand, like they're just beating like 3 hand traps. And not to mention just how toxic crossout can potentially be in the mirror match, right? I think that's always been one of the scariest things about crossout. And some of the most egregious examples was like branded mirrors a couple years ago. People would be crossing out Ash Blossom to actually push through their branded fusion, but then in the mirror you can cross out your opponent's branded fusion. And that is a significant. So I hate crossout. It's I get the logic behind why it's made, but I just don't think it plays out in practice at all. I don't know if you guys feel differently, but I'm very happy that this card is now at 1.
Yeah, it just comes down to it's a very heavy, like it's a very heavily, like it benefits the player going first so much, and in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, I think everyone knows why that's not a good idea. Like, because Yu-Gi-Oh decks are naturally already very powerful at going first, and so just like giving them more tools to be even more ignorant and taking a card out of your opponent's hand, which is essentially like crossout designator is just another like omni negate, right? Because it just takes out one of your opponent's cards for no reason. So like you have one less card to combat whatever they're doing, and so that is just not healthy. And I personally, I mean, I've said this like years ago, I was always putting called by and crossout onto the ban sections in my ban list discussions. I've kind of like given up on that because I kind of understood like that's probably not gonna happen, but I still never stopped like putting it to 1 because hoping it would one day happen. You know, there's like certain things I will eventually give up on that I can live with. Like, I don't know, Droll Lockbird is like a card that I've come to terms with. But crossout designator was always on my ban list. Like I would always put it there, even though like I've been asking for it for like 3 years or whatever. It's still on there.
I hate what you just said about Droll, but we'll talk about that when we get to the ban section.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to add about crossout, PAK? I assume you're probably in the same boat.
No, I'm in the same boat. I think hand job should resolve. Like you know, going second is already tough, to be honest with you. Like modern day decks are too powerful, and like, you know, we talked a little bit about Alliance. Like in Alliance, like these combo decks are, you know, combo decks, so they're playing heavy engine cards. You know, I do not want those. I don't want White Force having crossout, to be honest. Like, please.
Damn.
Like, so yeah.
Oh yeah. Also,
so
I've seen the common misconception, or like at least what I think is a misconception, that people have been saying like, oh, they removed punishes for hand traps, so people are gonna play even more hand traps now. What people don't understand is I think that the crossout existing forces people to play more hand traps, because like drawing, you draw 2 hand traps, you don't feel safe if your opponent's playing a combo deck and has 3 crossouts and talents and called bys in their deck. Like you kind of have to draw 3 or 4 to feel safe. That's why like decks exist, like Cashier of Fiendsmith that just plays like 24 hand traps, because like you need to draw 4 to consistently make a Snake Eye player pass the turn, right? Like you're screaming at them like, pass your turn, and they're like, no, I'm gonna cross you out, and that's like,
I'm gonna cross you out.
It's like, you need 4 hand traps for that. But if those cards are less popular, less common, you can get away with drawing 1 sometimes 2. It's fine. Like you don't have to play 25 of them anymore. You can still if you really want to make sure, but
semi-related. Did you guys by any chance see MBT's gold rare hand trap deck with the Mathmech circular engine?
Oh, I did see that. That was
you can get every hand trap in gold rare, I think.
Yeah.
So you just play that with gold Mathmech circular. Oh,
that was
lovely. 25. Yeah, of course you'll be on the QCRs.
I'm calling a judge.
No,
if that happens.
I've been feeling the CRs. I've been liking the CRs lately. That's like my new wave.
Really? I think they just look like dirty cards. Like it's like someone's like
no. You gotta get the European ones. You guys are blessed to be in Europe. Yeah, those European CRs look so crazy. Like,
dude, are you referring to rarity collection or in general?
No. In general, like,
I love the regular CRs. I don't love the rarity collection ones.
Yeah, like what's the difference?
You know how the ones with the sprinkles. There's a difference.
They have sprinkles on them. Yeah. Like
the sprinkles is that's the ultimate rare.
No,
quote unquote.
No. That's
the Japanese.
There's snowflakes on them, bro.
I thought the sprinkly ones were called the Japanese ultimate rares.
No, that's Japanese collectors.
Okay, what? So the thumbprint runs are the collector rare ones, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the original ones. Yeah, like the ones from like the sets, like the side sets and stuff. But
interesting.
When you got reprint and rarity, like they look really weird. Those collectors look really weird.
The collectors rares from the side sets are really, really good. I like those.
This is nice. This conversation is too rich for me, so I don't know. I play low rarity.
I'm not gonna lie, that was a reason why I play Memento. I'm like, damn, these languages look kind of nice. Maybe I should play it. But no, on the same topic of crossout, you reminded me of something. The reason why I played Memento at YSS Houston was because the development in the meta was that like these Ryziel players became Omega cringe. Like they were main decking 3 crossout, 3 talents. I'm like, bro, are you serious? Like I am not playing the 1-for-1 value game into people main decking 3 crossout, 3 talents.
Yeah.
And every Ryziel monster summons itself from the hand. Where, you know, in modern day hand traps, Gamma's at 1. So our hand traps, the issue with like the modern hand traps into like Ryziel was that when you hand trap them, they don't lose the body. So they're just gonna keep summoning dudes from the hand and then, you know, getting to the XCs regardless. Yeah. And so that's why I was like, dude, I mean Pirellia and Fua. And I think I played like 3 talents, which I probably shouldn't have played 3 because one issue that I came across was, you know, when they don't use their crossouts.
Yeah, they cross out your
They just cross out your talents when you're going second. So I'm just like, bruh. like there's no winning. So I probably shouldn't have played 3 talents and played like some other non-engine instead. But yeah, like I wanted to play like a strong engine deck that could play like basically not play hand traps because of the fact that everyone was playing main decking 3 talents, 3 cross. And I thought it was just like, oh, it's like a trend in like 3v3s because I first saw it in like Dom's and Jesse's deck profile in their pure Ryziel / Fiendsmith Ryziel decks. But then I started looking at like the, analyzing the meta a bit, looking at deck profiles, and like, bro, the week after, top 8 regional deck profile, Ryziel Fiendsmith, 3 cross out main deck, 3 talent. I'm like, yeah, these guys just don't care. They just don't care. Like, I was like, all right.
Yeah, those decks were getting disgusting for going first. Like they could make Toad 2 now because of the 7 Tachyon into servicing Big Jaws into Bahamut Shark. So it was just like ignorant going first, right? 3 cross out, 3 talents, access to Toad. Yeah.
Just draw Charmy, hope for the best. Yeah. What's up?
Were you dropping Fua in the standby? Or were you trying to get some value out of it?
Yeah, I don't care. I'm like, bro, Fua, Pirella draw phase, hope you pass. The only time I do it in main phase is if I bricked. Like if I bricked, I'm like, well, I need these draws. So
yeah, okay.
They have talents, like fuck it. Like my hand's unplayable anyways, so you can look at my hand. Like so
well, speaking of tactics,
speaking
of talents, that card got limited. What do you think about that?
Perfect.
A lot better, but you still have like thrust, depending on like the format. But thrust is a lot significantly stronger now going second because you're searching the talents.
Yeah, and then going first. That's the whole point, right?
Yeah, that's true. At least like if you hard draw talents with thrust, then you don't have to search talents, and it's a lot more broken. But I think because Fiendsmith's unhit, a lot of people are playing more bestials. So thrust going first basically is talents, is what I've realized.
Going
thrust is also like going
would
first.
You main deck it though? Would you main deck it like risking it?
That's the beautiful part about it. I don't think people would main deck thrust, so that's like probably the benefit. Like game 1 doesn't feel like too crazy.
Yeah.
But
wait, so why is thrust for talents good going first?
Well, if they have a bestial, you can just add it.
Yeah. I guess if they have a body.
Yeah.
Right.
I think my issue with talents is that like once you have hand information, it's like it's super crazy. Like you can you basically like you can like kind of like predict what your opponent top decked and stuff, and then like play around all their cards. So like imagine like a deck like Blue Eyes where like you have 1 drill beam, you know exactly where to use it. So yeah.
I mean the argument for talents for me was always why I also wanted it to go specifically to 1 is that I find talents like a very interesting card when going second. When breaking boards, I think it's an interesting card to play with and also play against, like knowing how to play around talents and how to use talents, like when to take, when you need to draw, when you can afford to look at their hand to maybe take away a hand trap after they've used something. I felt like that was fine when going second. When going first, it was basically just like the same thing where they use 1 hand trap. Well, let me take the second one out of your hand and then keep going. So I really wanted it to be like not an option for going first. Or way less often, and so I think putting it to 1 achieves exactly that, because if you want the utility of talents going second, you can still play thrust, and that's like exactly why I wanted exactly that change, because I don't want it to be completely gone, so you can still access it when you're going second, but going first, I don't want to like fear God every time I use an effect veiler.
Yeah. Oh, hedgehogs are nice now. I'm feeling good. I'm like, yeah, take this veiler, and they're like, I resolved. Beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, you said everything that I was going to highlight in talent specifically. Like, I'm very bittersweet about this hit because I completely understand why it was hit. Like, the full hand knowledge and deleting a card from their hand, because now you know exactly what to interrupt, and you've taken away, like, a starter, a second hand trap, depending on the situation. It's so versatile that way. But I really love it going second. It is such a fun card to play with when you go second, So, I don't know. Maybe one day we'll get, like, an errata to it or something if like your opponent has to control a monster in order for it to be activatable, something like that. But I guess maybe that would just kill the card.
I think if they ever errata it and it says if your opponent activates a monster effect, just draw 2. So there's no take effect, there's no look at hand effect. I actually would be okay with that. I think that's like the most okay part. When they go talent draw 2, I'm actually like surprisingly like fine with it.
Yeah,
because they gotta like they basically got
their hand kind of sucks right now. Like it's like everyone knows that if your hand's good, you look at theirs.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that'll probably be like cool errata to see if it ever happens.
Yeah. Other limitations, I don't know what's like super relevant to talk about here. Like Drew's Worm, I think is good. Less extenders for Malice. Drew's Worm is just a good like hand trap in general. For the follow up that it offers with sending the body. I don't know if you guys have anything more to add about Drew's Worm.
No, it's fine. I get it. It was not. It's still the one I'm the least excited about, but I think it is warranted. Like it's a very high quality card, so I don't mind it.
Yeah, I think
I don't
it's a
mind
good
either.
limitation. Masterpiece. Funny, cool, but not gonna be super relevant. I don't think.
Nah, dude.
Nah,
It's back in Master Duel and it has done nothing. And I genuinely think it's not even the problem. Like if True Draco were to see play, I would be way more furious about like the Monarchs Erupt than I would ever be about Masterpiece anymore. Like it's just not the issue.
It's so funny because I feel like it just the existence and printing of Imperm just like killed Masterpiece somehow, right? Because that's such a big significant factor. It's like even if you do set up Masterpiece with like spell monster, like so everyone's just playing Imperm, like, you know. So it's really sad because
2950 with a pop is also like significantly
not that good.
less. Yeah, it's just like back then it was very difficult to put up 2 monsters that could threaten to run over Masterpiece. Because that's what you needed to do, basically. Because if you summon one thing that's bigger, they just pop it. These days, it's like no problem, right? You just like decks have so much extension and so much like potential that like you can easily out a Masterpiece if it's not backed up by like traps and floodgates. So it's absolutely fine.
What's Diagram at in TCG? It's because that's 3 in Master Duel.
I think it's still at 1. It's still at 1.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it's that 1.
Yeah.
Are you a peaceful guy, PAK?
Like a diagram guy? Like
Yeah.
guy. Wait, what?
Do you like True Draco at all?
Oh, no, I don't know. I wasn't around for it, and I think it's fine. Yeah, I did play against someone playing it. Actually, I opened Imperm, but they got it. Yeah, actually on ladder, I played everything, and I Impermed it. Yeah, and they flipped Erupt, and I just lost. Like great.
There you go.
Yeah. I thought I was playing actually testing Malice, and I was like, oh, okay, wait, no, this is still fine because I get to Cryptor, and I'll just summon like a Visceal to the Cryptor zone, and then I can still like out it, right? Yeah. Then he changed Daruma to my Visceal in hand, so my Cryptors got sent to the graveyard, and there's nothing in the bench that changed, or like there's nothing. It doesn't point to anything at the time. So I was like, all right, I'm out of this game. Erupt is so broken. Yeah. That's like I agree with Josh. That's what sucks about that. Like that deck's definitely not Masterpiece. Just you got 5 sets.
Brilliant Fusion came back, which is just in time for some of the new Gem Knight support. I assume the only person in the planet that's going to make that deck remotely relevant is going to be Vlad. But Brilliant Fusion used to be back in the day. It was a staple like combo piece because you get an extra normal summon, you get a body into the grave. You could send Snow. I think was the final straw for this deck, for this card rather in 2019. So Brilliant Fusion, in some ways, has maybe gotten stronger as the targets have gotten more powerful. And normal summoning is always good. I don't know if like people are gonna play Brilliant Fusion. I don't know if anyone's gonna be playing Cobra and Predaplant and stuff to search it. But it's at 1 now. I think 1 is a good number because it's searchable in Gem Knight, I believe. Yeah. But you don't want it to be like at 3 and like splashable of a lot of things. I don't know if you would play it at 3 in some decks, but interesting card, huh?
At 3, maybe you probably could consider it, but yeah, probably not now. I mean, you have Brilliant Fusion right now in TCG. You Moon into Requiem in sequence is basically Brilliant Fusion, right? With Duke of Demise. So, and that's like an in-engine way to get. Yeah, it's like an in-engine way to put monsters on board, and you need like a way to normal summon again. Well, you got Duke of Demise, and then Duke can add back the Engraver if you didn't start with it to get tracks. It's actually like you print bodies. Actually,
I don't know if you know this, PAK, but did you know that Brilliant Fusion is the original cause of the term Garnet?
Yeah, I did know that. Yeah. Well, Gem Knight Garnet. You play,
some people don't know this. It's crazy, right? That's how old we are. But Gem Knight Garnet was the mandatory piece you had to play for Brilliant Fusion because it's basically Shaddoll Fusion, or I suppose Branded Fusion would be the better way to explain it to the Zoomers. It fuses from the deck, but it requires a Gem Knight, and it's this vanilla 1900 monster called Gem Knight Garnet, and it's just that's where the name Garnet comes from. If anyone is curious, it's a hard brick engine, hard brick engine piece, one of that has to be played in order for a card to work.
Yeah.
This is This is patient zero. Yeah.
No, I'm in the same boat though. I think at 1 it only benefits Gem Knight because they can easily access it. Apparently, from what I've heard, I don't even know the Gem Knight deck.
There's a new
super
card
well.
that searches it.
I think for like all other decks, I can hardly imagine someone wanting to play like a ratio of 1 Brilliant Fusion, 1 Garnet, or even like the thing is, it doesn't even get better if you add the Cobra and the other Predaplant thingy, right? Like it's like hey, you add 3 Scorpio,
Cobra's
but then
terrible.
also the Cobra, which is another brick in your deck. So it's like now you have a 4-to-2 ratio, which funnily enough is like the same ratio. It's still bad. So I don't know if you would want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some bans, I guess. Kind of mentioned Decoder Griffin already, sort of. I
Loaded
don't know if you
ban
want to
section.
go over them again. Link ones are always good, but a Link one extender,
That's great.
everyone liked
That's
that. I guess.
the Decoder was a crazy hit. That was a great hit. Like
Yeah.
that's very smart. Like it's like one of those things like you only do it if you're like in tap with the game. So whoever like on Konami's like R&D team they're in sync with the game for sure. Because I don't think like Decoder is an obvious one.
No.
But that was a great hit. Like it just means like they're well aware of like what's happening in the meta and what the cards do, which is good to see. Yeah.
50% of this ban list is floodgates. What does that tell you? So Griffin banned, and I guess we could have like a Mermail discussion, right? Because it's a bit strange, isn't it? Like
the next
a
two
lot
are
of
very
people-
intertwined. Like I feel like even though it's not super obvious at first glance, right? Because people have been asking for Abyss Dweller for forever. But then, of course, a lot of people, myself included, have been warning about like if we ban Abyss Dweller, this Mermail deck that's already kind of good and already popping off and popping tournaments and
It's winning
YCSs.
YCSs. Yeah.
Like that deck, if there's no Dweller counterplay to it, that deck is crazy. Like the deck is good. The deck was good to the point where they were playing crazy cards just to out Dweller, like Xyz Encore and stuff, just to get their stuff to go through. And like the deck was good enough that even if you lost like Xyz Encore on a Dweller that Ryziel made is like a -4 activation, right? Because they get like 2 searches out of it and 2 bodies back. Well, they can't do much with the bodies unless they're playing Ryziel Fiendsmith, but like you get what I'm saying. Like it's a crazy neg move to do that, and the deck is still good enough to win after. And going first is also really powerful. So the Dweller ban absolutely made it so that Mermail had to be hit as well. I feel like it would have been otherwise completely insane. And they did. They hit the Bahamut Shark as well, which I think is very heads up once again.
My only issue is that I do think Mermail is still like really like that deck is very viable right now from what I've seen. Because they just changed the combo around. That's why I originally thought Bahamut. I mean, Bahamut was like obviously it's a good hit. Like for sure it is a good hit, but it's like not. It's not that it's not enough. But now they're doing like waterberry statue locks with like Trishula and like they're just gonna find more degen combos and like thing is it doesn't lose the nib still because they still minstrel your nib. So you need to, if you draw 2 nib though, you're lit. So I'm just hoping when I play that deck, I just draw 2 nibs and but yeah, it is they're just there's other combos they can do and it is cringe. Like and going second, that deck pushes through a lot without Dweller. Not saying that Dweller should be in the game for that reason, but that deck do push really well because Poseidon is just a custom card.
I do think this sort of issue they would have always required a 2-step solution though, because I feel like it was too much to ask. Like the deck, even though it was winning YCSs, it was nowhere near the representation level to warrant like the 4 bans or whatever, right? Like because in order to prevent what you're saying, they would have had to ban like Bahamut Shark, Barrier Statue, Mooling Glacier, whatever. And that's like you know, it's like I'm happy they were heads up enough to hit the Bahamut Shark. And I want to say real quick why I was under the impression that like banning Bahamut Shark or Toad didn't really matter like which of the 2 you pick, but now I've realized it actually I think it needed to be Bahamut Shark because now for the deck it is actually significantly harder to get like good rank 4 waters in there that can just detach the Dragoons because that's a massive that's a massive part of that deck is like using Dragoon search over and over and over again. So like detaching it off of rank 4s is really important. And Bahamut Shark, even though like Toad was obviously the best one, has other good targets. Like if they go overlay a Dragoon and a Pike for a Bahamut Shark, detach the Dragoons and summon like the La Virtue Dragon and search the trap card,
Virtue.
it's still like a +3 or whatever and gets you any Sea Serpent in the process. And now like Mermail players are actually scrambling for good rank 4s to detach stuff off of. Like in my local groups, they're like searching for Snowdust Giant, which basically does nothing other than detach, right? It's just because it's like the only generic rank 4 water that can just detach a material, right? Because Dweller is also gone for that matter, because that's funnily enough like the other one that could have done that, right? Just make Dweller, detach the Dragoons, get the search. So now they're playing like hella awkward rank 4s for it.
Yeah,
but it's still good.
No, that's a good point. That's a good point.
It's an interesting point you mentioned. Like, it would be crazy to dedicate that many hits to a deck that isn't like dominating the format and stuff. And I do understand that, but man, you're just taking away like so much of like the unfun aspects of Mermail, because I feel like Mermail probably is like a very interesting deck and very fun to play. With so much of the interactive gameplay that it can potentially have. But as soon as you like deal with multiple omnis, multiple hand loops, the barrier statue, it really is just such degenerate gameplay, and I don't think anyone is gonna. I think the format's looking kind of scary, especially post Alliance Insight. You know, you have combo Malice and you have like Mermail potentially. Like that seems like super cursed in my opinion.
We'll see how it turns out, because there's still like for Mermail, there's still answers. There's like Fuva, there's Droll Lockbird. Fuva is probably also a good answer to the Malice deck, depending on exactly how it's being played. But
right, but those are not fun answers, right?
No,
That's
I know,
the thing,
I know. You're not wrong. This does not like solve everything, right? There's still things that are not perfect. But like speaking of Mermail, what you mentioned earlier, like I noticed during YCS Houston that like Mermail going first and Mermail going second are completely different like things in terms of also how much I enjoyed watching it. Like Mermail going first is like Resident Sleeper, and Mermail going second looks so fun, right? Because when they go second, like all of that like barrier statue and Moulin Glacier and whatever, it doesn't matter that much. It's so much more about like actually being a good deck with engine at breaking boards, right? Because it just ignores a lot of the like imperms and veilers and other stuff because you send for cost, and it can just it's got some impressive feature matches where like you just like go second and break a board in a really fun fashion, but going first it's just like so cringe. So
cringe. Do you like Mermail PAK? Like, do you think it's like a viable deck? Like, is this something you would consider like seriously playing?
It's viable. And yes, to seriously playing, only because it depends on how like what you think the meta will shape up to look like. But for example, pre-Allen, if you think that like a lot of people are going to make this analysis to play a bunch of Bestials in their deck to combat, Fiendsmith being full power and people just slamming Fiendsmith cards in every deck, then maybe Mermail isn't necessarily a bad choice because, if you're playing a water deck into 8 Bestials. So, because Bestial Fiendsmith deck that's a pretty popular deck, I feel like, or like something people are gravitating towards. Same with like Cash Fiendsmith and like Bestials. So, yes, because it could be a meta call type deck. I think, and it's like I said, it's still a very viable deck. Like it has plays going first and second. But I think other than that, it's fine. I don't mind playing it. If it makes sense to play it. Like if it's a good pick, I might. I would consider playing it for sure.
I'm just wondering, like, what are like the inherent weaknesses now? Because like Dweller was such a terrifying card because Ryziel was so popular, and Ryziel could always just like make if Ryziel's hand was good enough, you would just make like the third XE would just be like Dweller typically. So like, what are like the real disadvantages to playing Mermail these days? Like, is it bricky? Is it not good? Like, enough
I think the consistency has always been my biggest issue with Mermail. The reason why I decided, because when I looked at Houston, YCS Houston, prepping for it, I did consider playing Mermail for that event. But the reason why I gravitated towards Memento and made the effort to learn it was because when I looked at like starters, I felt that like the Memento deck just had way more starters than Mermail, and you don't need to do all of that like triple toad stuff, double toad stuff to win the game. So if going first with Memento and Mermail accomplished similar things in terms of like winning the game, then I rather play the deck that's more consistent, that also was good into hand traps and like like that and explosive. So that's why I strayed away from Mermail. Because if you pull up the deck and you look at the starters, there's like probably like 3-4 1-card starters, whereas in Memento there's like 10 to 13 depending on whether you play Fiendsmith or Peer, and you know, and you have a bunch of like powerful 2-card combinations in Memento, which is what Mermail kind of pride itself on, a bunch of like strong 2-card lines, right? Like Tea's Goons or something like that. But you know, Memento with 2 cards, you know, if I open like a spell plus a normal summon, like I'm pretty lit too, to be honest. So, but it's just the consistency is just like way worse. So the deck felt really high roll for me. Like you have to hope you know, if you win the dice roll, and if you do win the dice roll, like half the times I'm just praying I don't break with Mermail, to be honest with you. So yeah, that was like my gripe with it, but I think it's a fine deck. Yeah, I don't enjoy playing it though, because I think like it's pretty boring, because you know, you goons 5 times and then pause, but you goon like you activate goons like 5, resolve it like 5-6 times, and
you
know,
goon
put up like a
5
lot
times
of
and then you pause.
yeah, and you're just like, well, here you go. Whereas yeah, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It could be a cool meta call though. Like I was thinking
about making a blind second Mermail deck. Just cut all the bricks, you know, no Mooling Glacier, no barrier statue,
Yeah.
cut all the cringe things. Partially because I also think that'd be more fun for me personally. I don't know if that's actually better, but like without Dweller in the mix and only one shifter, I feel like it's like one of the few decks that could actually realistically just like take apart boards like it's nothing. And you get you play less bricks, you get some extra, you get an extra card, so it's a little less bricky like that, and maybe it's fine. I don't know. I've been thinking about trying that.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that'd be cool actually. That's a good point. So
the last 2 important things, I guess, would maybe be like I guess it's kind of like one question, things that are missing from the list, which was kind of hard actually, because there's like so many things that I feel like were just correctly addressed here. There is the big absentee from the list is Fiendsmith. 0 hits whatsoever, no limitation on Engraver like people thought could happen. Even though there was like a reprint announced, like there is still a world where maybe you could limit Engraver. Tracked wasn't reprint, which was absolutely criminal, by the way, if they weren't going to hit that card. That card's like $70 a piece now, by the way.
$50 secret, 60. Yeah, it's a lot.
Same
with Requiem, by the way.
It's
like
funny.
$40
It's funny and sad at the same time, because like Engraver and Tracked have basically just switched places, right? Like Engraver is now Engraver is now the affordable one, and now Tracked's the one that everyone can complain about. Like,
bro,
what did the reprint do?
Dude, Requiem was $1. I'm pretty sure TCG player has that card at like $30 right now.
It's the same with Lacrima. Like Lacrima also, even though it's a one-off, like all those cards, like it's crazy. Like Tracked was, I think at most points like a less than $5 cards, especially in the beginning. Like bucks, it was like $5, and Lacrima was 2 at some point. And Requiem was literally €2, and now it's just like
Well, it must be mentioned because that is just one of the maybe potential issues of the ban list. But in terms of like raw gameplay, did it need hit? Is it like fine? Because a lot of people were talking about maybe they would hit Caesar instead of any Fiendsmith cards. Or was the Lacrima ban once upon a time, ages ago, enough to really keep this deck at a level that is fair and reasonable for the current power level of the game? What do you think?
I'm not saying it's blue eyes, but I think like pure Fiendsmith is just like, it's just another control like mid-range strategy. Like I think it's okay to have it full power. I think the issue is when like these Fiendsmith cards like show up in combo decks. That's when it like gets really disgusting, I think. And yeah, but I think like if you play like pure Fiendsmith, I think that's relatively like okay. Like I don't find an issue with pure Fiendsmith gameplay. I actually find it kind of interesting because you're like fighting with nothing. Like you're just grinding from the depths of like no cars.
Yeah.
So were you one of those pro ban closed moon people, or do you think that would have been better?
Yeah, I think like I was one of the people. Yeah, that I think if you ban closed moon and you let the pure Fiendsmith enjoyers play their deck, I thought that was gonna. That's what I would have done personally. But I think I think, you know, with no hits at all, I do think it's like by far like, you know, one of the best engines in the game. I actually thought it was a better engine than Malice and Ryziel, even like last format, like before the list, because I think like the engine is just so like, it's just so crazy. Like it gives you like a nice grind game. Like Dweller was the only thing that like made it kind of like worse last format, but I thought that the Fiendsmith engine is like just one of the best engines ever. So like I knew that like when I played Houston, I was like I didn't care what deck I played. I need the Fiendsmith cards in my deck. That's why I even played Malice just because I'm like, dude, like half the games I'm winning, I'm not even winning because of Malice cards. Like I'm winning most of my games with Fiendsmith cards, right? Which I think is like really cool. So yeah.
Yeah, I think whether you like the pure Fiendsmith deck or not is obviously subjective. I personally also, like we said earlier, or like I said earlier, I like it a lot. So I don't personally mind that there's no major Fiendsmith hit on this list, but very similar to what you said, I do not like when combo decks can just pivot into like a Caesar to outplay Nibiru in the middle of whatever. And so I think looking back at it, I think Moon was a pretty good ban here, so that the pure Fiendsmith decks can still exist. And if you draw the Fiendsmith cards, you can still access those cards. Because like, and people have been saying like, oh, Moon wouldn't have done anything because people just make Exiton. Like making Exiton is significantly harder. That was just something you saw a lot of Exiton into Fiendsmith last format because like Ryziel could do that. But before that, like think of Fiendsmith release and like the months after, like how often has anyone done Exiton into Fiendsmith to you? Like never. It was always Moon. With Snake Eye, it's Moon. With YUGIOH, it's Moon. With all those other decks, it's usually always Moon. With Memento, it's Moon. Like it's always Moon. And like that would have been a perfect hit. And like the Exiton problem was solved anyways because Bonfire and Ice are on the ban list. Like they're not playing Fiendsmith Ryziel off of Exiton anyways. So I think Moon was a pretty good ban there. And if that would have happened, I would have like I think this would have been a perfect ban list to me, like for the time being. Of course. Once Alliance Insights hit, like you said earlier, there might be newer problems, but like I think I'm already happy with them being heads up enough that they're hitting Ryziel and Malice relatively strong right now because they know they're gonna be fine after Alliance Insight. Like I honestly I feel like most people were like, oh, typical Money expecting like them to not do anything about Ryziel and Malice because they want to like maximize, they want to like force everyone to play those decks once Alliance Insight comes out. But like, I'm happy that they were relatively harsh with those decks when they're getting support.
No, I'm just glad the 7 limit is not Sun Lonely anymore. It's no longer a spot reserved for just malicious. So I thought that was like cool.
Actually, they did think that Morphing Jar was a little too good. Can't put it straight to 3. It's has to go to 2 first. Then we see what happens to the empty jar deck. Okay,
dude, I lost to Morphing Jar like 3 weeks ago. I think in the Duelist Cup. It might have even been in Duelist Cup. It was like stun. They like flipped the Floodgate, set 3, set Morphing Jar. I couldn't out it. They flipped it and just drew 5 more traps. It was kind of crazy.
So that's what they got to prevent. We can't have this popping up. And I suppose like the one other missing card for me personally was Droll. I don't know. It's the same argument as Shifter. It's always this like, it has to keep some decks in check, but you're just kind of like flipping coins sometimes, depending on the mirror, depending on the format, depending on the matchup. Like, do you have Droll? You just get completely shut down. There's like some ways to like outplay, I suppose. If you like use your best search first or et cetera, et cetera. Like there's some ways and room around it, but it is such a game-breaking card. I feel like it was definitely something that I feel a lot of people talked about, and it would have been nice to see on the ban list.
Yeah, Joel for me is like it's only like crazy, like super. Because I think Joel going second, like you have Joel, like it's always hit or miss. That was the one thing like I hated about Joel, where I'm like, dude, like I just want hand traps that do what they're designed to do, like the Veilers and the Ashes and stuff. But Joel is like weird because it pairs like really like usually. There's some good combinations with it sometimes, but usually most of the time it pairs really weird with like your other traditional hand traps. And then going second, like sometimes they just like, they don't necessarily lose to it. But going first, that's when that card goes crazy. Like I was like telling him, I'm like, honestly, if you go first and you have Droll and like it's like you're putting your opponent under Colossus. Like it is so hard sometimes to break your board. Like the half, let's say you're forced to make a half board because of XYZ reasons, like Charmies or something. But you have Droll going first. The fact that Droll makes it so your opponent can't search makes it very hard for them to break your board and establish enough advantage to beat you on the grind game, I would say. So that's like that's when I saw that card being like super, super crazy, because some people were main decking 3 Droll at some point in last format.
Yeah,
but
there's a lot of it.
yeah, Joel's always hit or miss. Like it's one of those really crazy. And then the other
Yeah.
thing with Joel that I thought was also like crazy, which maybe it's a fine argument, but like Malice, for example, can draw themselves under the Charmies and then just full combo you. Like that's a pretty like
Yeah.
realistic thing that I was doing. That when I was siding Joel, it wasn't just a go second card for all the combo decks. It was also a card I sided in going first to to beat Charmies, which I was like, man, that is I think really broken. So
You're gonna love this little game called Master Duel, PAK. It's we've been doing that for a
Oh,
while.
I hopped in Master Duel last night. My Memento deck, I got 3 draw in the main. I'm ready to draw myself in the next season. So I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
Oh, there's actually one last hit that I wanted to ask you specifically as a Unchained gamer. Sharvara
wow.
went to 2, which I think a lot of people haven't really mentioned because there's so much other crazy things on this list here. And Unchained is probably past its prime in terms of its power level with regards to the current metagame, but it's a really cool deck. I love Unchained so much, and there's a significant difference between 1 copy and 2 copy. There are a lot of lines that require 2 Sharvara specifically. Now, I don't know if you think like Fiend Pile Sharvara with Unchained could work, like Fiendsmith, like make Yama using the Engraver and all that kind of stuff. Like, is there a world where like Unchained is like a good deck again, do you think?
I think Sharvara to 2 doesn't matter if you're splashing Yama as a way to get to like Rage on your end board with like, Escape or like Chamber.
Oh yeah, I'm talking about
I
like pure Unchained.
Yeah, if you're playing pure Unchained, I think a lot of people are experimenting with it. It looks okay. I don't think it changes much. Like I think the deck before had issues where like the consistency was always a big problem for me. Like I remember like we were playing like Prod of Prosperity and all this stuff just because like that was like one issue, and it's like pretty bad into like Fueros to be honest.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that
that's
was
terrible into Full.
yeah, it's like basically 2 draws and you make a Rage and you pass. Basically, it's not the worst, but
Well,
yeah,
unless if you hard draw the Sharvara, it's actually a little better because you get the trap, right?
Yeah, you get Escape as well, but I mean, yeah, and you can make like Rage into Link 3 and then pop something, but Rage and SP is always fine.
Yeah.
I think like I've seen people like experiment with like Unchained Fiendsmith right now, but I don't know if that's like necessarily like that crazy though. I think like the Unchained cards have so many bricks and stuff that you're probably better off just playing like I don't know, Fiendsmith Yubel or something, and then just like and just play like the Unchained as like an engine, not as a full deck. Because I don't see like the advantages of playing like Unchained versus like Yubel, for example. Like like Beckoning Beast and like Lotus are just and Throne are just so crazy.
This is an interesting point because this ban list had no direct hits to Yubel. So in some indirect way, like this is like a big buff to Yubel, and Yubel has been topping.
Yeah.
Which is terrifying for some people. But do you think that like Yubel is like
I'm the people?
He is the people. Do you think this is a realistic call?
Yeah. Yubel is definitely a real deck. To be honest, even if Phantom's at 1, I think it's still fine. And yeah, that deck definitely was one of the winners of the past list as well. Like you could still play it. 1 Phantom is really annoying because they still make it, and so you're like it's one of those decks that's very frustrating in hand traps. So like yeah, that deck is that's why like I wouldn't like when you ask like, oh, would you just like maybe play Unchained with like Fiendsmith? It's like yeah, but like you could just play Yubel, it's the same thing. So
some people just really like Unchained, and I think for those people it's good that there is a second Sharvara.
Exactly.
The Dweller ban also benefits it a little bit. Of course, that was something else, like just another reason why the deck was like terrible going second to Ryziel was they would just Dweller you, and that would usually end the game. So it's like it's a fine deck in it in on itself. Like Fiendsmith Unchained is
it's a cool pet deck basically.
Yeah. And that's like I'm all for that. Like if it's not a problem, then why should Sharvara have been at 1? Because like you said, PAK, all the combo decks they use 1 anyways. That's like the 1 Sharvara is like exactly enough to play it in Yubel, to play it in any other whatever you want to do. Like even Labyrinth has been doing it sometimes. Some Yama lines with 1 Sharvara. All those decks get to play it, but Unchained specifically is the one that suffers the most, or the only deck that suffers from Sharvara to 1, and it arguably shouldn't. So I think it's a good semi.
The coolest thing I saw like with the pure Unchained deck, with like Unchained Fiendsmith, was you can now go Anguish into a Baoq. I thought that was like cool, like because now and then you can like rage in a Baoq as well. You know, if they have a link too. So I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's neat. Like a Baoq is like a card, like, you know, it wasn't around when we played Unchained back then. So I was like, oh, that's sick that we have like a Baoq now for like the deck.
Yeah, I mean, the more I looked at this ban list, I was just like thinking, yeah, YUGIOH like doesn't have to contend with Shifter as much, Dweller, like there's some decent
It's
like
just a Fuva
indirect
issue, right?
buffs
Like
here.
that's the thing with all those
Just-
combo decks. It's
just
just
Fuva.
like Fuva,
Yeah.
Fuva, right? And like YUGIOH out of all decks is probably not the happiest to droll itself. Because that's something you said earlier that I was really thinking about. Like, yeah, droll is something that Malice could use because Malice is like designed to not be weak into droll and Lockbird. So if like Fuvas are your only answer to Malice, post Alliance Insight, maybe them drolling themselves is gonna be a huge problem.
Yeah.
But,
Like meows
yeah.
me and fuel me. It's like, I
Yeah,
guess I'll just draw myself.
Alliance Insight is a different story. I think for now this ban list is
Yeah.
very good. Post Alliance Insight,
Yeah.
there might be things to reconsider for the next one for sure. But
Yep.
like Malice in particular is something that I'm a little scared of when it comes to Alliance Insight. But we'll see.
I think that's kind of the issue, right? Because when you make a list like this, you are saying that this is the ban list for national season, likely the WCQs as well.
Yeah.
So I think you kind of have to design the list with that in mind, right? Because if we do genuinely risk like some sort of crazy Malice tier 0 format, then I don't think the list really did its job, right?
Yeah, I mean,
In
but
a lot of
arguably
ways.
they did do that, right? Like they did hit Malice decently hard. Like I mean, I who does not like Malice much did not expect him to kill Malice because it gets support in Alliance Insight. Like they always wanted Malice to be good next format, right? They just want to be they want it to be a slightly less crazy deck, which I suppose this list does achieve to a certain extent. Because even the full power Ignister versions in the OCG, they're still running the link decoder, so I'm sure that's going to hurt them in some lines. And we're going to have to see how broken exactly it really is. I mean, I'm assuming it's probably going to be the best deck, but by how much remains to be seen.
Don't worry, I already cooked up the combos. It is.
See,
Yeah,
well, you
link
say
decoder
don't
does-
worry, and then you say something that absolutely worries me.
No, you have to worry. I meant like,
okay.
I'm like, don't worry, I cooked up the most devious combos, but it is quite worrisome, I guess.
Yeah.
No, I hate these combo. I'm not a fan of these combo formats too, but it's like, you know, these
I
are
hate
like
these
what you're
combo
given.
formats. Make spreadsheets for them.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta play in them. Like, you know, like, what am I gonna do? Not play Malice? Like, I guess I have to learn how to play it. So why not? But no, the link decoder ban is so crazy because post Allen, I'm like pretty positive. Like, you just, it didn't really affect it that much. Like, the deck actually still plays through hand traps. Like, obviously, like a 1-card starter will lose to like 1 Veiler, 1 Imprint, whatever. But you know, with March Hare, it's like an in-engine bestial, bro. Like, that card is ridiculous, so ridiculous. So
how good is
Yeah, we
is like a bestial as an extender post Allen? Like, let's say you have the Dormouse and it gets tailored, you link it off, you make a bestial. Like how
basically Imprint Nib like doesn't do anything throughout the whole line. Like it's so hard,
Cool.
because you get this, because the thing with March Hare, the reason why it's so crazy is because when it's banish, it doesn't have a restriction to stop it from adding itself back.
Yeah,
that's what I figured out, and I'm just like, how did, like, this is so ridiculous because it's a recurring bestial.
Yeah,
because like, you know, if you banish a binder and you summon or something, and then you have another one in grave, you'll just banish it, add it back to your hand or something, and then like it's like a constant resource loop that it's just hard to beat sometimes. Like, I think from an advantage game perspective, like it's like that constant resource grind game is just so tough. But yeah, the Marcher is like really crazy also because it's a bestial that is a Cybers. So, you know, Cybers have some of the most broken extra deck cards in the game, like Transcode Talker, right? Where you can't make Transcode, like you could make Transcode Talker, but you can't use the effect to Reborn if you use the bestial. Whereas if you have March Hare, like the Transcode Talker effect to Reborn is live, which is obviously like really crazy because it's like Elf and Splash Mage is like, yo, what's the diff? You know, like Splash Mage is another crazy card in the Cybers extra deck that's probably at some point will get banned. Like, yeah, it's just the Cybers extra deck is just so ridiculous. Like, and because it's a bestial that's a Cybers, it just really does make the deck a lot better. But, and the thing is, yeah, we were doing some combos where if you open like Dormouse plus Druid, it is also really broken. There's just like no point to really hand trap. I I think like if you play a Malice deck into it though, the cool part is that a lot of the interactions of Malice is banishes, so you don't necessarily like insta lose to it. That's why I was like joking, like it feels like a tier mirror where like you have to use your like it's not just GGs. Like you're gonna have to use your interruptions kind of like I guess because if you banish their Dormouse, it comes back. So you're gonna have to.
So you're saying like the only good deck into Malice is Malice.
Yeah, from their interruption standpoint, that's how I see it.
I love that for me.
You're gonna have to draw like, which is obviously it's not great, like I said. But so far from because I've tested all the deck, I tested most of the combo decks. Like I tested, White Force Azamina. I tested Live Twin Fiendsmith, right? Because they're also getting support, right? There's like there's Pure Ryziel, there's Mitsurugi Ryziel, there's Mitsurugi Ogdoe, there's Heretic Beast Ryziel. I tried the Dragon Ruler deck too, and there's also like Regenesis. So I tried a lot of them. The only one that felt like actual clean, like actually really good, was the Malice deck, which makes sense, right? Like it's like a tier 1 deck before, and it was like getting like really crazy support, while all the other decks felt like it actually did lose to hand traps. Like the White 4 Azamina deck felt overhyped to me, which a lot of people might just crucify me for in the comments, but that deck felt super overhyped in my opinion. I thought it was like way better. I tried playing it. I was like, yeah, never mind. It's like fine.
It's weird because they get like such good support that you would expect them to really, really powerful, but then when they release in the OCG too, they didn't make the biggest impact immediately after Alliance Insight. But in the OCG after Alliance Insight, it was actually like Ryziel taking back over Malice.
No, Ryziel's so good for sure.
Yeah.
Like Star Ryziel was actually super busted.
Yeah.
Like, because now like their board is super layered. Like you have like the trap now.
Yeah.
Basically in every end board. And that trap card is really broken, to be honest with you. And Detonator is still an issue, no matter how.
Also,
and the
thing is cross, right? Like, which is a big deal. Like, the duo drive is less of a choke point. It's still good to hit the duo drive because it just stops him from adding 2 cards. But Star Ryziel will still get the field spell. So it's.
I think and when Ryziel gets really good is when people stop respecting that deck. Like, if people don't play like Detonator outs, Detonator is still an issue. Like, that's the thing that people will have to like, kind of like navigate through as well, where it's like, damn, I play all these cards for Malice, but then like I'm disrespecting Ryziel, they put a Detonator, I would just lose. So like Detonator is still an issue. Like even though it's at 1, yeah, for sure, but keep in mind like Star Ryziel, like the effective like set, I'm pretty sure you can set plugin and stuff too. So
yeah,
it's gonna be interesting to see how it goes. But yeah, they can also make Detonator your turn. I mean, some people are making the Starlish Baguska lock. Like, and you maybe don't even need to make Detonator turn 1, right? Like, that's another thing. Like, Ryziel for sure, like, Pure Ryziel is for sure, like, still a deck. And then the Mitsurugi is just another combo deck, but I think that deck is, like, in the same category as Azamina. White Forest is, like, it's, like, fine. It's, like, a crazy combo deck, but you have no non-engine. Like, it's just, I think that's just,
awkward when you're in that spot of, like, you're a very strong combo deck, but you're not the best combo deck in the format. So, like, why would anyone play that combo
I think
deck?
what people
have
to
play a different combo deck, that's better.
Exactly. What people have to realize is like you don't need to like puts up like 20 negates to win. Like, because like I think people's conception of like combo is like, oh, I gotta put up like like Mermail type boards to win. But it's like a lot of these like decks, the reason why they're so good is because even though their boards aren't like FTK, it kind of feels like it's an FTK board. Like you still will pretty much lose, to these type of boards. So that's why I was like, Mitsu Ryziel is good, but like would I play Mitsu Ryziel instead of Malice where I have like 18 flex spots, like but the deck is like good enough to still win going first, So
I think the difference between the combo decks that make like the completely crazy boards and the combo decks that just do enough to like win against most decks is like how good they are into board breakers. Because like Mermail is the type of deck that will even beat the board breaker decks, right? Like but then when you make a more lower to the ground, like a little bit lower to the ground combo board, those are the ones that maybe can lose to like, I don't know, Droplet Talents type decks.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah. Depends what the balance end board will look like, because a lot of people have different ways to approach it, right? Like some people make Terahertz, some people make the new as like a code talker, like the new Link 5, the one that's like a monster negate. It depends. Yeah, it just depends what board they go for, right? And like which and then finding like a breaker that could beat it if obviously the hand trap is not like the hand trap is not working. But it'll be interesting to see. Like for sure, like I do agree. Like I think it's cool that these decks are getting support and like all these new decks, but it does feel like a combo format because like a lot of these decks like are really powerful going first. Like Mitsu Ryziel, like the White Force Asmin, all these decks are like, they're really like they look really cool like when they go first and like pop off and stuff. But and like the Malice deck obviously, but it's just the combo format's always tough for me because I feel like it's more reliant on the dice roll and whatnot. But we'll see.
We'll see how it turns out. I'm not entirely convinced that that's like the only thing we can do because I do think on the other side we have like mid range is also deck doing fairly well right now. We've talked about like decks like Blue Eyes Primite, Ryziel, Fiendsmith control variants. Like there's still like a strong like quote unquote opponent in the game right now with like mid range that's still.
I like playing the mid range decks.
So we'll see exactly. I don't know exactly if like I'm probably not as experienced with post Allen as you are at the moment. Like I haven't looked into it that much because like my nationals is like 2 months from now. And that's
I might be there. Like wait, like in June, right?
Nationals?
I think I might pull up because I'm already gonna be in the area for work, so I might see you there. I won't be able to play. I might be grinding the giant cards, but we'll see. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure you can play if you wanted to.
I have to double check. I don't want to get in trouble or something and then like not be able to play NAWCQ.
No, I think you have to be I think you have to be a citizen to play EU nationals and the WCQ.
Okay, I don't know. Maybe they changed that because I'm pretty sure I remember people coming over to play nationals because like we can also play nationals and our WCQ. But
I might need you to adopt me or something. Put me under your household.
Okay.
Come German for a week.
This has been your rundown of the new pack of Master Duel and, of course, the new TCG ban list. Major stuff happening. It's a big shake-up for Yu-Gi-Oh! Across the board here, so it's exciting times for those of you who are playing both games. TCG is going to be pretty fun, I think, for the next little bit, at least until Allen. I think it's going to be pretty fun. So that should be a lot to sink your teeth into over the next few weeks. We'll be back next week, of course, with some more scheduled content. We'll figure out exactly what makes sense to bring to you next week. But of course, big shout out to PAK for taking time out of his busy day to come be with us and discuss everything that we've went through today. So thank you so much, PAK, of course, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. That was fun. Yeah, it's always cool to talk in depth about these things. No, that list was probably the best I've ever seen. I mean, I've been playing for like 5-ish years, so that's probably one of the best lists I've seen. Yeah, I don't even remember the last time I felt good about a ban list. Like most of them was like, fuck, this is terrible. So no, I'm glad. Like, yeah, this is great. No, I'm down to play some Yu-Gi-Oh. Like, I'm recharged.
All right, thanks, boys. Appreciate it. And make sure you comment, like, subscribe. As always, the Patreon is $1 usage for the Discord access. And of course, Patreon questions of the week for the future. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you the next one.
Bye.
Thanks. Cheers.